I will say, one thing that I'm actually kind of glad to see that we didn't really get too much of back in the day is how the operation of taking over a planet actually worked for Frieza's army. Because it's really wild. For one thing, it is also nice to see how Namekians would live with other races, and a little bit of canonicity is the fact that you see the Ceruleans and the Namekians trading, with the Namekians farming food, which they don't eat themselves, but they do mostly exist off of water and the like. And you see the Ceruleans trading water for their vegetables and crops and stuff like that. And honestly, that's a good way to build a society. It's a nice little bit of world building for the Cerulean planet. But when you see the Saiyan pods crash down and immediately, boom, they're great apes. And I mean, that is a brilliant way of going in. The great apes do most of the heavy damage while the regular Frieza Force warriors just wipe out the stragglers. And a really kind of terrible moment of imagery is when they basically have all these defenseless Namekians, grown and children, just rounded up and they just all open fire right there. Just kill them. And it's just so brutal of a moment. No hesitation whatsoever, they just take them all out. And Monaito, he survives just purely through happenstance. And he's telling this story to Goku, Vegeta, Granola, all that good stuff, letting them know the story of Bardock, father of Goku. Which, it's funny that that was the name of the special that we saw, but that was only the name in English. So it was a completely different name in Japanese, so only people in more English speaking countries who got that dubbed special will actually see that as a point of reference. Like, oh, that's homage to the OVA, the special. No, it's just pure coincidence. But Monaito is the only Namekian to survive, just barely. It's literally just per chance. And the elder of the planet, he basically just passes on the duty of keeping the Dragon Ball safe to Monaito. Because, I mean, he's now the elder just because he survived. And we even get to see that moment from Granola's memories where you have Bardock just kind of hanging out, just patrolling, looking for any stragglers or anything like that, and he spots Granola just rushing to the church where his mother is, and Bardock follows and he pokes his head in through the opening, and Granola passes out. I mean, I'd say he passes out like a bitch, but he was a little kid. Like, you don't see what that is and not just be overwhelmed by your senses. And honestly, if Bardock had actually killed him, it would have been a mercy. Like, it would have been a mercy. But something I also found really cool about the Ceruleans was the fact that they realize that the moon is the source of the Saiyan's transformation, so they actually target it. Like straight up old school Dragon Ball, when Roshi destroyed the moon, or when Piccolo destroyed the moon, or yet the moon is still up there. Maybe they wished it back on the Dragon Balls on Earth. Like, it makes you wonder. But they destroy the moon thinking that is their Saiyan source of power. And if they're not great apes anymore, that'll be able to just end the conflict. So one of the Ceruleans fires off a shot, it manages to graze one of the great apes, and just they completely annihilate the moon. The Saiyans turn back to normal. One of these Saiyans kind of looks like Nappa, but I'm not sure if it is Nappa, honestly. But as the Cerulean's just like, yeah, we got him now, like, the Nappa-looking Saiyan's just like, yeah, nah, we're still pretty strong without that transformation. And they just wipe out the rest of the Ceruleans. It was great planning, and it's interesting to see a situation where that actually happened, and it's just like, yeah, no, we're strong enough to be able to deal with you without that. And we see that the one Saiyan who ended up with the massive scar on his head is Leek. And if you remember from Dragon Ball Minus or even the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, he was the one Saiyan who was hanging out with Bardock most of that time. When Bardock was returning to planet Vegeta and he was the main guy talking with him. You even kind of see him in one of the aside that Toyotaro sometimes does with the story of Dragon Ball Super, where he's in communication with the rest of Bardock's crew from the father of Goku special, and you see him contacting them saying, hey, we received orders to return to planet Vegeta, where are you guys? And they're just like, we never received any orders, just as Dodoria and the rest of his posse roll up and just slaughter all of Bardock's people. But Bardock is transformed back to normal in front of Granola and his mother. Granola's mother actually tries to put up a fight, only just barely grazing Bardock's shoulder. And Bardock throughout this whole entire chapter has this 1,000-yard stare. It is the weirdest thing. Like, he's just kind of going through the motions, kind of like he's just absent-mindedly doing stuff. Because he has this moment where he sees Granola and his mother and he thinks back to Gine. Because this is apparently not long after Bardock got his first glimpse of Goku, when he was, not long after he was born, because Dragon Ball Minus and the Broly movie kind of retcon things where Goku was 3 when he actually traveled to Earth, and he wasn't just an infant. So to a certain degree, Bardock had a little bit of time with Goku, but something about seeing his newborn son seemed to have resonated with Bardock, because he's just so taken aback by Goku's presence. It would be cool if they still worked in the future sight and all that stuff, but I mean, certain elements are just so different from the original Bardock special. I don't know how well that would work in. Some people see this as them retconning Bardock to be kinder, but I mean, he still does his job for the most part. It's just Bardock being a little bit defiant about how he went about things. Yeah, he's not portrayed as cruel as the special originally portrayed him as, but throughout things he feels almost reluctant to be as kind as he is throughout this. Because you get this nice little moment when after Bardock names Goku Kakarot, and Gine just hugs the little birthing pod and all that. Gine is the cutest. It's such a shame that she is no longer amongst the living and all that. But Bardock's buddy Leek comes up and is just like, hey, we're to pull out. Frieza's gonna be arriving soon. Bardock's just like, yeah, I'll be there in a second. I'm just looking for survivors and all that. He after the Leek GT's the FO, Bardock uses his scouter and scans for anybody who might be nearby. He picks up someone with a power level of 5, which could have been an animal, but for some reason he's just like, no, the movements are too deliberate. It has to be a person. And it's just like, really? What? Something about that moment is just like, okay, he's definitely a tactical mind, if nothing else. So there really is something special about Bardock. The why and how of it is the thing that just really takes me off guard. It's just like, they've been really playing up that Bardock just seems to have these really good instincts about certain things. And so as Monaito goes and hides the Dragon Balls, he encounters Bardock, who, I love the fact that Monaito does try to bash Bardock's head in, and Bardock just stops his cane that Monaito is swinging without even looking. And Bardock's just like, your power level jumped up to 213 when you attacked. You must be able to keep your power level hidden. Like, he immediately knows the gist of what's going on. But Monaito calms down when he realizes that Bardock is with Granola and his mom. Granola's still passed the fuck out. We also end up learning Granola's mom's name, which is Muizili. And as the survivors of Planet Cereal, gather together, Bardock's just like, okay, listen, Frieza's gonna be here soon. Keep a low profile, I'm out. And Monaito's just like, why do any of this? Why even bother with us or anything? And he's just like, I just felt like it. Like, I did it for shits and giggles. Why not? I was feeling a little generous because of the birth of my son. A twinge of compassion, if it were. And that's the thing. It really does come off like he just felt like it. Like, his son was born. He felt like helping out what little people he could just because he had a spur of the moment. It really does feel like if it wasn't for that, he would have slaughtered them on sight, just going about the motions, doing his job, whatever. I mean, Bardock always had that apathetic nature to him throughout a lot of the Bardock special. It was only because of the future sight that he became a little bit more compassionate, for lack of a better term. It was more that he knew the destiny of the Saiyans and was desperately trying to avert it. It's just, it took impending doom for this man to emote. But in present day, Granola's just like, I owe my life to a friggin' Saiyan? And Monaito's just like, yup, it looked like this dude over here, pointing to Goku. It's just like, his name was Bardock. Are you related to a Bardock or something like that? And Goku's just like, dude, I don't know anything about my birth. I'm first generation immigrant refugee, man. They put me on the ship and that's about the end of things. And Vegeta reveals that, yeah, that was your father's name, which brings forward the question why that never came up in conversation before, but Vegeta wouldn't have given a damn, and Goku's never shown any interest in his Saiyan heritage before either, so I guess it makes sense that he never really brought it to the forefront, but at the same time, it's just like, Vegeta, if you knew that, you could at least try to educate Goku about his heritage. And oh god, I said Goku and educate within the same sentence, and fighting wasn't involved. Of course he wouldn't have listened, but Gohan might have been a little bit more interested if nothing else. And Goku is kind of surprised, and, Monaito and Granola's just like, really? What a friggin' coinkydink, which is the biggest problem with this arc. There are too many coincidences. How the Dragon Balls were found, and there are just too many coincidences throughout this whole thing. And Goku's just like, I don't really know much about the guy, so it is what it is. And Vegeta wants to think that the softness of Goku runs in the family, but we know that's not true because Goku's only kind because he bumped his head when he was younger. But Granola demands to know, well, if we survived, what the hell happened to my mother? And so Monaito explains that as Bardock was getting ready to leave, Monaito went over to heal him. It's revealed that Monaito's healing abilities are very minuscule. He can heal scratches and stuff like that, but he can't pull a full Dende. If you got a hole in you, he ain't bringing you back. But Bardock picks up that there's 5 energy signatures nearby, and we see the heaters just randomly just standing around surveying the planet. I guess they got done dealing with most of the Namekians, or maybe they came in after the job was done to survey the score. And we get a little bit of how the heaters operation and how Frieza's dealings with them actually worked. Frieza sends in the labor to completely wipe out the populace of a planet. The heaters pay Frieza and his forces for their services rendered and all that, which they are totally stiffing Frieza and his people, giving them all of like 10% of what they would have for the planet, what they're selling the planet for. And despite the fact that they know not to fuck with Frieza because Frieza is actually pretty smart, they're just like, why is he going to question it? We've done business like this for years, and that's true. You always kind of expect to kind of be fleeced a little bit by a broker for the most part, absorbent freeze and all that good stuff. They're all about turning a profit, but the heaters, they understand that they're not strong enough to take on the likes of Frieza. But the heaters' modus operandi is basically that money and information, that's the thing that will help us stay ahead of Frieza and eventually overtake him for the most part. They have dreams of grandeur, and they were looking to at one point get from underneath Frieza's thumb for the most part, which, I mean, that day never came, only came about because of Goku. And Gas, he really did think himself something special, saying that one day they would rule over Frieza's army and he would be strong enough and this and that. I'm just like, we need to see a little bit more of what Gas can actually do, because he talks a big game, but it's just like, I mean, most of the heaters don't seem that powerful. What makes Gas so special? Yeah, it's getting to a point where we should rename him Hot Air with all the bullshit he keeps spouting about being powerful. But as Bardock, Monaito, and Mazzuli are spying on the heaters, unfortunately, Granola picks the worst time to wake up. As he spots Bardock and his tail and all that, he screams a Saiyan, and Monaito, with the quickness, just knocks the boy out gently, just sends him into a sleep. But he's completely blown Bardock's cover. He doesn't want to be outed, despite the fact that, I mean, he technically had info on the heaters too, that they were planning on betraying Frieza, but I mean, with information like that, that would just get all of them killed, so it's not like he could really say anything to Frieza. So Bardock has a plan of just taking Monaito's robe, covering himself up, and pretending like he's, killing off some stragglers and all that in front of the heaters. And as the heaters roll up, they're just like, okay, go ahead and kill them. And Bardock's just like, I didn't think that far ahead. Shit. So he's just like, well, the Namekian has this strange power. I thought maybe it might be useful. And without missing a beat, Alec just shoots Mazzuli. Just shoots her right in the chest. Shoots her dead right then and there. Didn't even hesitate. Didn't even think about it with a second thought. It's just like, and that took me so off guard because I'm just like, holy shit. What a absolutely dick thing to do. Just out of nowhere, just shoots her. I mean, they basically are corpse brokers raiding the dead and all that for their resources, but my god, what a sucky thing to do. And of course, Bardock is like pissed. He's just like, god damn it. Try to do something nice for once and you gotta shoot the mom. So he attacks the heaters, and I mean, to his credit, Gas does put up a pretty powerful barrier, stopping the attack. But Bardock basically uses it as a smoke screen to get everyone else away. And the heaters realize they might have been played, and they don't want anything that they said to get out. So Alec sends Gas off to go find them, which, I mean, he never did, ultimately. But the real unfortunate part is that, because of Monaito's limited healing ability, Mazzuli just dies right then and there. It's a bit of a shame. And Bardock basically has to think out his next move, which I'm curious how they managed to get away with it from this whole situation with the heaters if this was all going on. Like, how did Bardock get away from them? Like, Gas is just ready to throw hands on sight, so I'm just like, they must have had a fight or something. But we head back to the present day, where Gas is all cut up in his feelings over his encounter with Bardock, and he wants revenge for some reason? Like, what did Bardock do to Gas? Is it just because he got away? Is his ego really that Vegeta-esque? But Gas is really convinced that he has become strong enough to tangle with whoever comes their way. And Alec, being a smart man, is just like, it's not bad to have a contingency though. So we're just going to use these Dragon Balls, as he has one of them as Maki and Oil. Well, mostly Maki with the Dragon Raider. She's heading straight to the last one. So what exactly the heaters are going to wish for is anyone's guess. Because, I mean, there's a wide variety of things they could wish for. Might wish for Frieza to be gone, but that has too much of a potential of ruining their plans in the here and now of just having everyone get rid of each other. So maybe they're going to wish Gas stronger, or all of the heaters to be as strong as Gas, or something along those, have all the money in the universe. It's kind of hard to say. I'm hoping the story that Toyotaro and Toriyama have crafted for this actually has a clever wish this time around, because let's be real, a lot of people had issues with Moro and his wish to free all of the prisoners of the Galactic Patrol. It's just like, I mean, it's kind of cool because the Z Warriors had a fight because of that, but it's at the same time it was just like the mystery of what Moro's wish was far more interesting than the wish itself. And that's kind of here too, as the ideas of what the heaters could possibly wish for is probably going to end up more interesting than what they actually wish for. And honestly, everyone saw the heaters being the bad guys coming from a mile away. And even the thought of them being the ones to kill Granola's mother, the moment most of us knew that Granola's mom survived, it's just like, okay, then the heaters probably killed her. Like, we ain't got no other characters in this story, so yeah, that makes sense. But the coolest thing to come out of this chapter is just Goku knows who his father is now, and that his father was kind of a decent guy. I mean, Goku doesn't get shit from that. That's the only downside here. Like, at the end of the day, nothing really changes for Goku, but I don't know. Maybe there's something that can come from this. More than likely more on Vegeta's side, because he's been struggling with the history of the Saiyans for the longest time, and to know that one showed a little bit of compassion even back in the days when they were at their most ruthless, I don't know, might do more for Vegeta than anything else. So we'll just have to wait and see. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What was your favorite part of this chapter? What predictions do you have for the future? And if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notifications. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.